all had those conversations or those interactions where we feel a little nervous. Maybe we want to be seen as charming. Maybe we want to make a good first impression, have a great conversation. And it's hard to do that if we feel nervous. In today's video, we're gonna break down 5 ways Robert Pattinson is super charming. Even if, he kind of looks like he is a little bit nervous in some of these clips. We're gonna break down some awesome stuff. Be sure to stay tuned to the end because there's one really important tip that most people overlook when it comes to being charming. All right, let's dive in. The yes and rule. The first rule of improv is to continue the bit. If we use stop words like but or well, actually, it can make it really difficult to continue the conversation for the other person. When we build on what other people are bringing to the interaction, this allows you to ride on that conversational wave. Notice how Robert Pattinson rides this wave with Ellen.
That's kind of realistic.
And you know what stands out that I really noticed that doesn't look like you is the fly is up.
I know, I keep doing that.
I know.
I have a problem with that at the
I know.
moment.
What's happening that you don't remember to see?
Every time.
It's
crazy. Shut up.
Yeah.
I've done this like 6 times.
If you're feeling nervous in a conversation and you have an opportunity to ride the wave of someone else, like if they bring up a topic or they seem really enthusiastic about it, ride that wave with them. Build on what they say.
Is the fly is up.
I know, I keep doing that.
I know.
I have a problem with that at the moment.
It's much better to do that than to just kind of shrink into your own kind of inner thoughts and being in your own head. So when we get actually more expansive, and as we see Robert here, his eyes light up and he becomes more expressive.
I know. What's happening that you don't remember to see?
Every time.
It's crazy.
It's much better for him to just amplify that and give Ellen's energy back to her. Next, the focus rule. What he does here in this interview, right at the beginning, he uses something I call the focus rule.
What's funny, there's actually a lighthouse cinema in Dublin, and that's where I ended up seeing the movie.
Is it in a lighthouse?
It was a lighthouse.
So he actually zooms in and focuses on a detail that the interviewer brought up. Sometimes when we feel nervous, it can be really tempting to get wrapped up in our heads and overthink what we could say. Often this leads to self-editing, which makes it much harder to be charming. What I teach my clients is that the social answers that we're looking for are often in the environment waiting for us. If someone says something that you want to know more about, focus in on that detail so you can learn more. Let's look at another way that Robert Pattinson uses the focus rule.
It was really great. It was really fun.
Is it true? I heard you saw it twice or once?
I've seen it once.
Okay, okay.
Who told you that?
Somebody told me you saw it twice, and I was very flattered.
I got the link to watch it, and I was going to watch it again yesterday.
So here, Robert Pattinson focuses in on Jennifer Lopez's question and saying, oh, who told you that I saw it twice? The key to this rule is being curious about other people and following that curiosity, even if it means letting go of the thing that you were going to say. Conversation topics are like trains. There's always another one coming. Let's look at one more example of Robert Pattinson using the focus rule.
Robert, welcome to GMA. Your first time here.
Yeah. It's like a nightclub.
That's crazy. That's what they tell us a lot, actually.
So the focus rule can be applied to the other person in a detail that they said or something that they mentioned, or it can focus on the environment as well. Because that environment is a great topic of conversation because you guys are both in that environment. So you naturally have that in common, even if it's just for that moment. Next, the honesty flash. Something that Robert Pattinson does really well is he comments on what he's feeling in the moment. So he's owning the emotions that are running through him at that moment. And it doesn't matter what the emotion is. Let's take a look.
Wearing a kind of 2-inch thick rubber suit or latex suit and being incredibly nervous and full of adrenaline the whole time. I remember we did like 2 takes and when you were just saying, what can we do about this sweat? And I was like, nothing. There's nothing that can be done. I have to be drained of liquid.
So here Pattinson uses the honesty flash to talk about what it was like, the story of like trying on Val Kilmer's batsuit and being drenched in sweat. That raw honesty really does a lot to make Robert Pattinson seem honest, charming, and really grounded. So we really don't get the impression that he is trying to make himself seem cooler than he really is. Don't get that impression at all. He's like, yeah, no, I was drenched in sweat in Val Kilmer's batsuit. I've never said those words out loud. Let's look at another example of the honesty flash when he comments on what he's feeling in the moment.
How are you? I'm well, how are you?
I'm okay. I'm all a bit discombobulated for some reason. I hate coming on after David. I know everyone's watching in the green room as well. It's making me nervous.
Why? Because he knows what he's doing up here?
Yeah, literally. He seems all smooth and stuff. He's like, you're not supposed to be an actor.
So here, it's a really small thing. He is kind of shifting in a seat, and he's like, oh, I feel kind of discombobulated right now. So he's commenting on what he's actually feeling in the moment. So he's owning that feeling. The big key here is if you are in a situation where, you know, you're feeling a certain emotion, it's fine to bring that up at the beginning of an interaction. Most people might default to wanting to seem like they have it all together, and it almost feels like they're trying to like mask the emotions that they're feeling. You know, that's probably not the right call. It's in many situations, everyone is trying to like hold it together. So it's much better to comment on what you're actually feeling. Now, I think the big key is to not linger on it. And we notice how Robert Pattinson, he didn't linger on that feeling of being discombobulated. You know, he didn't go off on like a 2-minute tangent about feeling discombobulated. Let's look at Robert Pattinson using the honesty flash one more time.
Rob, you started as a young actor. Did you have to get up courage to assert yourself on set with people?
I can't. I just run away and cry.
Really? Still?
Still. No, I don't really. Well, I don't know. I do. No, I mean...
Here he's talking about being assertive on set. And so he kind of makes a little bit of a joke, like, oh, no, I just have to run away and cry. He's like, really? He's like, no, well, sometimes. And you get the feeling like, look, Robert's just being Robert. He's telling you about his experience, and that's awesome. Here's Robert using the honesty flash again, and what's cool about this, he's talking about someone else.
Quick question about Good Time, which I also want to tell you is at this point my favorite film of the year. And no, seriously, and your performance in it is my favorite performance of the year so far.
Leading off the interview, he's talking to a good friend of his.
And the visual filmmaking that the Safdie brothers managed in that movie is astonishing. Tell me, how did it come to you?
God, that was a difficult one to start. You're so eloquent.
You could say thank you.
Oh, thank you, yeah, thanks. I'm already trying to deflect. It's like, your performance is also my favorite performance of the year.
He used that honesty flash because that's what he was feeling in the moment, and he was using that directed at this person who is interviewing him. So it can be a great way to pay a low-key compliment as well. So next time you are in a situation and you are feeling a certain way, it's fine to drop a one sentence like, I'm so... You know, I feel so out of place here at this new meetup, or whatever happens to be. The key is, don't linger on it. So just flash it and then move forward and continue the conversation. Next, low-key humor. So when we're feeling nervous, sometimes a well-placed joke can do wonders for making everyone feel more comfortable, yourself included. According to the Mayo Clinic, laughter can even help the body's stress response and lower heart rate. Great way to do low-key humor is unexpected answers. Let's look at Robert Pattinson displaying some low-key humor when a fan asks him a question.
You should do it as much as you can. And yeah, just like join drama clubs and stuff. Yeah. Never speak when you're off stage, ever. Like if someone goes up and does, like talks to you about your performance, just be like, yeah, and just act really weird. Okay. and people will be like, they're so interesting. It works really well.
So what I like about this is super low key, and you know, if you're feeling nervous, you may not feel like being like overtly funny. This is super dry humor. So when he starts it off, like everyone in the room took it as serious advice, but when he gets to the end, like you can kind of tell like, oh, okay, he's stretching it a little too far, and that's what makes it funny. You know, he gives a little smile at the end. It telegraphs that it's a joke. So the essence of humor is combining things that don't necessarily fit together. That builds and breaks tension, and that's what makes something funny. I've got a breakdown video of Will Ferrell that I'll link to, that you can check out more humor styles.
Oh my God, that reminds me, we were at the premiere and this girl goes, I only have one time for one question. She goes, can I smell you? Of all the things that you could ask somebody.
Did you say no and block her nostrils?
So here, it's a little bit more overtly funny, but it took very little effort. Notice how Robert didn't laugh at his own joke. He just kind of used that hand gesture and let that sit, and he got a nice response from it. So unexpected answers are a great low-key humor mechanism. One more that you can do is the callback, and it's a classic for a reason. So let's look at this clip of Robert Pattinson on Seth Meyers.
And I always wanted a little brother.
Right, so it sounds like you guys hated each other.
They told me on my 18th birthday that my mum was pregnant on April Fool's Day.
And I went to school just being like rejoicing and.
A few minutes later, Robert brings up this topic again.
Yeah, I used to be friends with all the hookers who lived down the street. That's great. They were my first friends in LA.
Yeah. Like, Mom and Dad, it's going great. I'm friends with hookers and magicians. Get pregnant and I'll come home.
The great thing about callback humor is that if the original thing wasn't even that funny, sometimes just repeating it later in a conversation at the right moment, that makes it funnier than it originally was. So the only requirement for callback humor is just listening. And the last tip I have for you is typically if you're feeling nervous, you may not want the spotlight on yourself. So find out how you can shine the spotlight on other people. Robert does this really well. He's an extremely humble guy, and he's usually first to share the credit or give the credit to someone else. That's a really charming thing to do. Let's look at this clip of Robert Pattinson on Jimmy Kimmel talking about his director from Good Time.
And he did a great job acting.
It's amazing, yeah.
Is he even an actor?
Oh, he's acted in little things, but yeah, he's incredible. And he was co-directing and also holding the boom and editing it. And he just had a baby a week before he started shooting as well. So it's unbelievable.
He did a great job here of being expressive and talking up his director. Like, oh yeah, he's holding the boom mic and everything. So next time you are in a conversation and you have an opportunity to sing someone's praises, could be a coworker, it could be a friend that you're introducing to someone else. Talk that person up, shine the spotlight on them, and what that'll do is it'll make you look awesome because you're being a good friend or a good coworker or whatever, but it'll also give you an extra second to kind of catch up in the conversation while the other person has the focus on them. Okay, well, that is it for me. Do me a favor, if you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button gently. We don't want to break it. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you on the next one.
Director, thinker, relator, socializer. Which one are you? Before you go, be sure to take this communication style quiz from Become More Compelling, and you'll get a custom report complete with specific tips based on your unique results. The link to the quiz is in the description. Go on, click it. I know you want to.